One thing that I wanted to do this year in my garden was grow corn. But I'm in Scotland, in Perthshire, so I wasn't really sure if I could do that. So, did it work? Didn't it work? Well, let's find out. Hi, I'm Robin. Welcome to Robin's Container Garden. Well, I'll let you in on a secret just now. It actually did work. I grew corn in containers. I have two containers, this one and a little wee one that's right next to me on this side. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll show you a picture of it anyway. These were planted a little bit later than the other ones. These were planted first, and they got quite tall. If this hadn't been eaten by the birds, it would have been way up here, and this one is way up here. So I was really excited when I noticed that we had ears, and then the birds decimated the pollen stalks. So I had, as you know, had to hand pollinate the corn, and I wasn't even sure if it worked. Early on, when I was when my husband and I ended up with this COVID stuff, we pulled one of the ears of corn because we felt like it was ready, and we were getting food from wherever we could find it. Mostly it was the garden. Thank goodness for the garden. And I pulled a stalk of, I did not pull a stalk, I pulled an ear of corn. And it ended up okay. I'll show you a few pictures from the video that we took, but it was a terrible video. So I'm not going to use the whole thing. But anyway, we just left the rest of them to go and do whatever it was they were going to do. At some point, all of the pollen stopped producing the stuff that I had covered up. It had all kind of dried up and stopped producing, so I had to quit hand pollinating because I didn't have anything to pollinate it with. So it just had to do its thing, and it grew and it got bigger, and I'm going to take you into the kitchen and show you the results. Well, the days are definitely getting shorter and cooler, so I felt like it was time for me to take all the corn off the corn stalks that were out in the garden. Now, I have taken one ear of corn off of the corn stalk a few weeks ago, and it actually had corn on it, so I was like so excited. But it's starting to get so cool at night. It was like 3 degrees last night, so I'm worried that it's going to frost and it's just going to kill everything. So I'm bringing everything in. So these are my ears of corn. We've got two little bitty ones. I'm actually not expecting anything off of this, but you know, we'll wait and see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and between the 3 of those we'll say 5, and then you can add the one that we picked a few weeks ago as 6. So I think I had, in the big container, I had 7 stalks, and that's where these big ones have come from. So that's in the big bed, and then these small ones have come from the smaller container with corn, the late ones that I put out. Now, if you remember right, I had to hand pollinate corn this year because the birds, the lovely birds that we have that live in our hedge and don't pay any rent, decided to eat all of the stalks that contain all the pollen. But we had some new stalks that came through. I covered them up with mesh and hand pollinated the corn. So what I'm going to do is I'll put that link to that video in the description so you can see it, the hand pollination thing. A little bit late in the season now to be of any use, but for next year it will definitely be something to put in your pocket to do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the husks off the corn, and then I'm going to cut the corn off the cob, and then decide whether I'm going to cook it or blanch it and freeze it or do something with it. Don't know yet, but I'll bring you in a little bit closer for that. Okay, so here we go. You know what? I think I'm going to do these little ones first, just out of curiosity to see how this goes. There's probably nothing on here, so I haven't tested them or anything, so yeah, very seriously, there's going to be anything. There's just, if there's anything at all, it's going to be down here, because that's where the biggest part of the corn, or biggest part of the girth of this thing is. So I don't think there's going to be anything in here. If there is, it'll be a nice little surprise, I think. Oh, look at all that pretty silk. I love that. It's so pretty. Oh, looky there. There's a little bit. It's not tons, but there's something there. Oh, that's pretty special. It's a little mini cob. Look how cute that is. Oh, that's adorable. Okay, well, at least we got something, right? So we'll keep going. This is like opening Christmas presents. Ah, we have more corn. I don't believe this. This is ridiculously crazy that we've got corn on these little teensy tiny little cobs. Okay, definitely nothing on here. Oh, how adorable is that? Oh, a little teeny corn. Very, very undeveloped, but still, I think you could eat that. How cute is that? That's adorable. Oh, little baby, itty bitty baby corn. Now, the big boys, let's see. That one feels pretty full. That one's full up to there. Same. Okay, so I'll save these two for last. I'll do these two. Oh, these are big fat ones. It's not a full cob due to the pollination issue that we were having. Not a full cob, but there's some big fat kernels on there. So that's what we've got on that one. That's a nice looking bit of corn. Of course, that's one of the smaller ones that I was, you know, of the big, I did it again. Sorry about that. I keep kicking the tripod. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? We did have, the first one was almost a full cob, and if I've got some pictures, I'm sure I've got pictures somewhere. I'll post one of the pictures there of the one that, the first one that we had. It was almost full. And that was the first cob that we noticed on the corn stalks. So, there's that one. So we're doing not too bad, are we? Yeah, that's not too bad. Considering I've never ever grown corn in my life. So I had absolutely no experience whatsoever in growing corn, and I thought, oh, that looks like it'd be fun to grow. So I grew it. And I was tickled pink when we had stalks coming up, and then tickled even pinker when I noticed that the pollen stalks were coming up. And then when I started seeing actual ears growing on the side, I thought, oh, we've done this. We've actually done this. Here we are. I'll just top that off because that's got nothing there. So, okay, let's look at this real quick. All of these little kernels were attached to these hairs. One hair was attached to each kernel. And what happens is that when they pollinate, each hair has to get pollinated or the kernel doesn't develop. Like here, you see undeveloped kernels here. And that's ones that didn't get pollinated. But these guys down here did get pollinated, and they were all pollinated by hand because I did it myself. So I actually thought that was going to be one of the smaller ones, and this is about the same size. So this is the big one. There we go. That's it. Oh, this is up a little bit higher. That was right. This is a bigger one. See how they're all connected there to various different kernels. That's really cool. I think that's just, it's fascinating to me. It's very interesting. Okay, so this is the corn that we've got. That's not too shabby, is it? Not bad for a first time grower, I think. I mean, obviously this one needed to be pollinated a little bit more on that side, but look how full it is on that side. That's amazing. And we have had this corn. We've eaten it when we had the first kernel, and it's really, really tasty. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this off the cob. I gotta figure out the best way to do that so I don't damage the kernels too bad. I might leave these on because they're so small, but I'm gonna decob these. Is that it? Decob? Uncob? Strip the cob is what we're gonna do, and I'll be right back. You may or may not have noticed I'm left-handed, so I do everything opposite of what everybody else does. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this towel over this plate so things don't bounce off, and I'm going to cut the kernels off of these, and then I'm going to weigh them. I'm not going to weigh them in the cob because the cob will be quite heavy. So what you do, you're actually supposed to do it like this. You're supposed to just cut down, but because I'm doing it kind of at an angle here, that's not really fair, is it? So I'm going to cut down. Oh goodness. Gonna have to do it the way that it's supposed to be done here. Sorry guys. There we go. That's it. I'm going a little bit tighter. Like I'd rather have some cob in there than leave some corn on the. Okay. I think I got most of that off. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna definitely cut in a little bit closer. So there's some corn. Now see that stuff I'll just get rid of. But what I'm gonna do is get a little bowl. So I'll put these in here. No, there's some silk that's coming through. I'll clean all that up before I do anything with it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it yet. I don't know if I'm gonna freeze it or if I'm gonna just keep it in a container until I can cook it or something. I don't know. That's all the stuff I'm going to take off the cob. The little ones that I got, I'm going to be putting those. I think we will definitely have at least those for dinner tonight. We'll have these others for dinner tomorrow night. But all in all, I think that's not a bad little haul for a first-time corn grower. What do you think? I'm quite proud of that. I'm going to weigh that, and I'll put the weight on the screen in metric and imperial so you can see how much corn we actually have. That's pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. So we did. We made it. We did it. We had 2 meals out of that corn that I took off the cobs. And we also had a meal out of the smaller bits of corn that came from this plant, and one from this plant that didn't actually do that much. They were little tiny ones, so we made a meal out of that. So we got 3 meals out of what we were able to harvest from these corn plants. So this is the time of year when you harvest all you can harvest. It's time to cut these things down. That's all I've got time for you this week, so I hope you stay safe and take care. Until next time, bye y'all.